In the dark edge of Sector 9, 5 massive alien warships hovered near the neutral zone, their engines glowing like suns in the blackness of space. The ships belonged to 5 powerful species, commander proud, each ship deadly. They had gathered not for war, but to boast. To compare their strength before entering Earth's territory, they believed Earth was weak. It's just a young species with soft skin and louder mouths, and today they wanted to prove it to one another, on board. The Krayt dreadnought, Commander Mukor, stood tall, his thick red armor gleaming under the lights of his control room. "This cannon," Mukor said, pointing at the side of his ship, "can break a moon in half." The other commanders nodded, but only with polite smiles. Inside the Solari strike cruiser, Commander Avon laughed, her voice sharp like blades. "That's cute, Mukor," she replied, "but my ship doesn't need to break moons. It can warp inside a base and delete it before their alarms ring." Her ship, sleek and needle-shaped, moved like a ghost through space. "It was built for silent death," Commander Keji, from the Varn Hive, tapped his claws on his seat. "My ship releases virus clouds that eat hulls and systems both." Slowly and painfully he hissed, "It's not about how fast you kill, it's about how long they scream." His crew chirped in approval behind him. Thalak, the Hiru warlord, let out a deep rumble of laughter from his warbeast-shaped ship. "You all talk like cowards," he growled. "My ship fires once, and cities disappear. Earth won't even have time to call for help," he added, slamming his fist on the console, causing sparks to fly. Then came Rovak, the most experienced of them all, commander of the Drail supercarrier. He didn't brag much. He just smiled and showed a hologram of thousands of drones inside his ship. "Let others fight battles," he said calmly. "I send storms." They all laughed together, their egos filling the space around them. Earth to them was just a pit. Stop. They had crushed dozens of young species already. Humans would be next, and they wouldn't even see it coming. As they floated proudly, sensors suddenly pinged. A small ship entered their scanner range, slowly moving toward them from Earth's direction. It was strange. No escort, no formation, and no response to their pings. The ship looked plain, almost like a mining barge, small and without any visible weapons. Rovak squinted. "Is this Earth's idea of a patrol ship?" Tolak laughed. "Or maybe it's lost," Keji hissed. "Let's take it apart and see what kind of tech they're hiding." But the ship didn't slow down, just kept moving steadily forward, stopping exactly at the neutral line. Its lights turned blue, and then nothing. No message, no weapons, just silence. Commander Avon narrowed her eyes. "This isn't right," she whispered. "Where's the signal? Where's the crew? Who flies a ship into 5 battleships and just waits?" Suddenly the small ship began to shift. Metal plates moved. Sections opened. Engines rotated. "What is it doing?" Mukor asked, stepping forward. Then the name appeared, USS Havoc, painted in cold, glowing white letters across its hull. And then came the voice. "This is Captain Nora Lane of Earthfleet." The calm voice echoed across all 5 bridges. "You've entered a restricted zone. Turn around now, or be removed." The silence that followed was heavy. None of the commanders expected a human to speak like that, so direct, so cold. Keji laughed first. "Is this a joke? A tiny human ship threatens us." Tholak banged his console. "Remove us? With what? That toy?" But something was off. Their scanners started to show strange readings. Power levels from the Havoc were rising fast. Shields, weapons, and engine signatures. "All too high for a ship its size," Avon whispered. "That's not a mining barge," Mukor growled. "It's cloaked tech. We've been fooled." Rovak's calm face hardened. "Get ready," he said quietly. "This ship is not what it looks like." Before they could act, the Havoc unfolded its main body like wings, stretching from a predator. Panels shifted, weapons emerged, and a massive rail cannon locked into place. The energy spike was visible to the naked eye. It glowed like a miniature star, and then Captain Lane spoke again. 10 seconds. "Decide wisely." The boasting had stopped. The warships that once made galaxies tremble were now unsure, and Earth's message was clear this time. You picked the wrong planet. The air inside each alien bridge had turned tense. No one laughed now. The small human ship that entered the neutral zone had changed. Its smooth surface unfolded like wings opening after a long sleep. Now, it looked nothing like a barge. It looked like a predator stretching before the hunt. From the front, a long cannon extended. Humming with blue energy from its sides, sharp fins deployed, each one tipped with strange weapons the aliens couldn't identify from the rear. Its engines pulsed like the heartbeat of a living beast. Captain Nora Lane's voice still echoed in their ears. 10 seconds. Decide wisely. On the Drail supercarrier, Commander Rovak stayed quiet, watching, calculating. He had seen hundreds of ships, but none like this. Scan again, he said to his officers. Use the deep core sensors. The result came back. Seconds later, and his eyes narrowed. No crew detected. No life signs. How can that be? Ivan shouted from the Solari channel. There's a voice. There's a pilot. Rovak answered calmly. It's not human-driven. AI ship, Keji hissed. Impossible. Earth-banned combat AI after the Mars incident? But Mukor growled. Then what is this thing? A ghost. The USS Havoc didn't wait. Its lights turned red. Its cannon locked onto the Varnhive ship. Then, without a sound it fired. It wasn't a laser or missile. It was a rail shot, a single. High-density slug moving faster than most sensors could follow. It hit Kaji's ship dead center. No explosion, no flash, just a quiet, clean hole through metal. Wires and the reactor core. Seconds later, alarms screamed inside the Varn ship. Keji shouted orders, but his voice cracked. The ship began to fall apart from the inside. Silent systems shutting down, a few escape pods launched in panic as the lights died. In 5 seconds, the Varn warship, the one Keji called unstoppable, was dead. Destroyed by one shot from the human ship, the remaining 4 commanders stared in shock. Even Tholok, the loudest among them, stepped back from his console. This isn't war, he whispered. This is punishment. The Havoc still hadn't moved. It just sat there. Weapons online. Engines idle. It was daring them make the next move. Captain Nora Lane's voice returned. Soft but sharp like a blade. Next time I won't aim for your weapons. I'll aim for your pride. Muker's red armor no longer felt heavy with honor, it felt like a coffin. Evan clenched her fists, trying to understand how did humans build something like this. She tapped her controls, searching Earth. Records? Nothing in their databases ever showed a ship like Havoc. No known schematics, no public designs, just silence. Earth has been lying, she muttered. They've been hiding. Evolving, back on Havoc, Nora watched from her command chair. She didn't smile, didn't gloat. Her orders were clear: protect Earth's border, use minimal force, and never strike first. But if attacks strike back harder than they can, imagine she tapped a command key, and the second phase began. The ship's skin shimmered, rippling with strange energy. Then, small fighter drones began to emerge from hidden ports, smooth black. Quiet like shadows moving through space. Each drone carried no pilot. But their AI cores were synced directly to Havoc's system. They flew around the alien fleet in perfect formation, not firing, not touching, just watching. Rovak spoke again, his voice heavy. This isn't a ship, he said to the others. It's a message, Tholok snapped. Then what do we do? Attack? But no one answered. Even Tholok's warbeast ship hesitated now. Its crew frozen with fear. They had always seen humans as brave. But predictable, now they realized humans were not just brave, they were prepared. Mukor finally broke the silence. If that ship is just one, what else have they built? I thought none of them wanted to explore. Then, in the distance, space rippled again. Another human ship appeared, larger, darker, and entirely silent. Then another, and another. 3. More ships joined Havoc, surrounding the aliens in a diamond formation. And this time, they didn't even announce their names. They just waited. The 5 alien commanders, once proud and loud, stood silent as the realization spread among their crews like fire. Earth had not only caught up, it had passed the men. Chosen not to speak until now. And worse, the humans were not angry. They were calm. Commander Kaji's ship once veered across 3 sectors, now floated dead in space. No power, no shields, no crew alive inside, just a drifting shell, pierced cleanly by one single rail shot. The other 4 commanders stared in frozen silence. What they thought was a joke had just turned deadly serious. On the Solari cruiser, Commander Avon's hands trembled above the controls. "I told you this wasn't right," she said through gritted teeth. "We came to laugh. Now we might not go home." Her officers nodded in silence, fear spreading across their faces like poison. Muker of the Kree dreadnought slammed his fist on the console. "Fire everything we have," he shouted. "Show them who we are." What? No one moved. Even his own crew hesitated, unsure if they were facing a ship or something worse, across the bridge of the Hiru warlord ship. Commander Thalik roared, "Humans can't beat us!" That was just one lucky shot. He locked weapons on the USS Havoc, eyes burning with rage, no more warnings. "Launch plasma cannons." In that moment, the alien fleet's unity shattered. Avon shouted through the open comms, "Thalik, wait. Don't provoke it again." But it was too late. Tholak's ship launched 2 plasma charges at the Havoc. The glowing blue spheres moved fast. Burning with destructive heat, all 5 commanders watched the screens, expecting a massive explosion. But what happened next made their blood run cold. The Havoc didn't move, it vanished. One moment it was there, glowing with red weapon ports. The next moment gone, the plasma shots continued. Missing their target, flying into deep space, where did it go? Tholak barked, eyes wide. Then came the chilling reply from behind. "You fired," said Captain Noralane's voice. Now broadcasting from the rear of Tholak's ship, I accepted. Tholak spun around, his ship's cameras turning to the back. There it was, the Havoc hovering silently behind him. It had warped without a sound, without energy spike. No species had tech like that, not even the Solari. "Impossible," Avon whispered. "No known ship can break physics like that." Her crew had already tried scanning it again, but it was like scanning a shadow. Nothing made sense anymore then. Without warning, the Havoc released a silent EMP pulse. It didn't destroy, only disabled. Tholak's ship lost power immediately. Lights flickering, weapons dying. Only emergency life support remained. And all systems on every alien ship detected the same signal. System locked down by Earth fleet. Protocol. Observation mode engaged. Muker turned to his officers, his voice quiet now. "How are they doing this? We trained for war, not..." "Whatever this is," he looked at the screen, where the Havoc floated once more at the center, unmoving. For Earth ships now surrounded them, all equally deadly, all perfectly still. Commander Rovak, the most experienced, broke the silence across comms. "This was never a patrol," he said, voice calm but cold. "This was a test. We failed it." The others listened quietly as Rovak continued. "Earth wanted to see how we'd behave at their doorstep. They gave us space, and we mocked it." Mukor sat down slowly, his pride deflated. "We thought humans were slow learners," he muttered, "but they didn't stop learning. They outpaced us in silence suddenly." The 4 Earth ships began to move in formation. Their lights turned blue, and their engines aligned. They didn't fire, didn't threaten. Instead, they boxed in the alien fleet with surgical precision. "No escape paths left. We are being herded," Avon whispered. "Not attacked. Controlled." Then, as if to prove her right, the Havoc sent a final broadcast. "Earth has no wish for war," Noralane said. "But we won't let bullies walk through our door. You have 3 minutes to leave this space. After that, we respond in full 3 minutes." That was all they had left to choose: a treat or ruin. And this time, no one laughed, not even Tholak, whose ship remained dark and silent behind them. Commander Rovak looked at the countdown on his screen. His claws hovered over the navigation keys. And for the first time in his long life, he said the words no Drell had said in 1,000 years. "Prepare to withdraw." 3 minutes never felt so short. The alien commanders sat in silence, staring at their screens. The countdown from Earth fleet blinked slowly to 59, to 58, to 57. Each second felt like thunder in the room. No one dared speak first. They were warriors, leaders of feared fleets, yet none of them had ever seen power like this. The USS Havoc had humiliated them with just one clean strike. But now, for human warships circled them like wolves around tired lions. And none of the ships had fired again because they didn't have to. Commander Mukor grunted from his seat aboard the Krayt dreadnought. "We should fight," he said, trying to sound brave, but his voice lacked force. "They corner us, humiliate us, and we leave with our tails tucked." But even he knew the answer. Their pride had already been shattered. Rovak of the Drell supercarrier leaned forward, calm and quiet. "Look at their formation," he said. Eyes locked on the data. "It's not just defense. It's strategy." He pointed at the screen. "They've trained for this moment. Every move we make, they've already predicted it." Suddenly, the Earth ships moved again. But this time not closer. They opened. Hatches unfolded, long silver arms stretching outward from each ship. Strange shapes floated out, small, smooth, and silent. Dozens of them like seeds drifting through space. "What are those?" Ivan asked, her voice shaky. Thalik, "Barely." Recovering from the EMP blast, growled. "They're deploying something. Maybe drones?" But it wasn't a weapon launch. It was a broadcast. One of the drones projected a 3D image in front of every alien bridge, a peaceful image of Earth. Spinning in quiet beauty, above it, a message blinked in galactic trade. Language. "We waited for peace. You brought pride." We answered in silence. "Now, we ask, will you listen?" Commander Kajes, second in command, injured but alive, said weakly, "They're not gloating. They're warning us and still offering peace," Rovak added, shaking his head in disbelief. "Even after all we did, they haven't destroyed us just then." All Earth ships broadcasted their names in class: USS Havoc Rail, Assault Flagship ISS Cyclone, Hyperspeed Interceptor, USS Eclipse Full Spectrum, Cloak Destroyer Black Star Nova, Orbital Power Siege Class H name, came with a list of specs, firepower, range, eye capacity, armor layers, shield modulation. The alien commanders watched in horror as they realized one thing: every human ship was built for a different kind of war. And together, they could end civilizations. Mukor sat back slowly, the anger in his face replaced by something deeper: shame. "We brought fleets to a doorstep we didn't understand," he muttered, "and we mocked the door." Avon said nothing, her sharp voice finally quiet. Her ship had the fastest warp core in the Alliance until she saw the Cyclone. It could jump to subspace without delay, something once thought impossible. Commander Tholak's pride broke completely when he saw the Nova's orbital cannon. It was large enough to destroy a planet's atmosphere with one calibrated shot. He looked at his crew, then at the quiet human ships. What kind of species builds this much power, then waits before using it? Captain Nora Lane's voice echoed again, this time softer. "More human? We are not here to conquer," she said. "Earth remembers what it's like to be small, weak, and afraid. But we also remember who laughed at us." She paused, then added, "Now we protect." Quietly. Always watching, Rovak stood, shoulders heavy. "They don't fight like us," he said aloud. "They don't need to. They just prepare and wait." Then came the final signal from the USS Havoc. This was not a battle. This was your warning. One by one, the Earth ships pulled back from the encirclement. They didn't chase, didn't fire. They simply returned to Earth's border and stopped. And that was more terrifying than any weapon, because it showed control, it showed confidence, and it showed the galaxy that Earth had become something new, not a threat, but a guardian with a sharp sword hidden behind a calm smile. Commander Avion's hands hovered above the retreat button, but didn't press it. All her life, she had led fleets through war zones, crashed enemy defenses, and shattered pirate armadas. She believed fear was something others felt, but now, in front of 4 silent human warships that didn't even blink, she felt a cold weight in her chest she had never known before. Respect mixed with fear. On board the Hiru warbeast, Thulak finally stood, battered and silent. His ship was only running on emergency power after the MP strike. No weapons, no shields, just breathing, air, and shame. His crew avoided his eyes. Even the strongest among them understood now. This wasn't a fight, it was a lesson, and they were the students. Mukor clenched his fists on the Krayt dreadnought. He had trained in asteroid fields, survived neutron storms, and once even destroyed a rebel moon. But never had he faced a ship that didn't even fire again after winning. And that scared him more than any battle ever had. "We underestimated the humans," Mukor said, his voice flat. "They didn't build ships to scare us. They built them to be used once and never questioned again." Suddenly, a ripple of motion appeared across the stars. A wormhole opened silent and clean, and from it came a fifth Earth ship. Larger than the others, black as midnight, shaped like a triangle forged from silence itself. Its name burned in glowing white across the side. ESS Obsidian Command Class Dreadnought. The moment it arrived, all alien systems picked up one thing. This wasn't just another warship. This was a fleet's brain. It's a kind of ship that doesn't move without reason. Obsidian. Rovak muttered. "I've never heard of that one. It's not in our records," Avon whispered. "Of course it's not," Mukor said. "They didn't want us to know it exists." On the Drell supercarrier, Rovak narrowed his eyes. "Look. At the other ships they're realigning," he said. And indeed, the Havoc Cyclone Eclipse. Nova moved in perfect sync, like pieces falling into place around a king. Then the Obsidian sent its own message. Not in words, not in sound, but in gravity. Its core pulsed once, and space itself bent around it. All alien ships shook for half a second, just enough to feel it in their bones. It can manipulate space-time. Kaji's second-in-command said, trembling. "No. It commands it," Rovak corrected, voice heavy. "We've brought swords to face thunder." The Earth fleet then broadcast a new message. One sentence. No emotion. Final protocol activated. "You are now within Earth's no-return zone." Ravan slammed her hand down. "Enough," she shouted. "We didn't come to die. We came to test them, and we've lost." She opened full comms to all remaining ships. "This isn't war, it's a mercy," she said to the others. "Retreat now, or we'll become names carved in failure." But Tholok, always the proudest, bared his teeth. "Run. After all our talk? After what we are?" Rovak answered him, finally losing patience. "Would you rather your name be remembered as the fool who got 5 fleets erased in one breath?" Tholok stayed silent, then sat down heavily in his chair. For the first time he didn't argue. He simply nodded, and so, one by one, the alien commanders gave the order they thought they'd never say. Disengage all weapons. Turn engines to neutral. Prepare for withdrawal. But just before they could jump to warp, a final message came. From Captain Nora Lane, her face now appeared on their main screens, calm, strong, and without hate in her eyes. "You came here boasting about power." She said, "You thought Earth was small, weak, unworthy. But power isn't about who fires first or loudest. It's about restraint. And knowing when to end something without destroying it." She leaned forward and finished with words that shook them to their core. "We let you live not because we can't kill you, but because we want you to remember who didn't." The screen went dark, and behind them, the Earth ships turned away, returning to their posts, like guardians who had no joy in violence. And in those final moments, all 5 commanders knew they hadn't just seen a fleet, they had seen the future, and humans were already living in it. The stars had never felt so quiet. No more plasma threats, no aggressive scans, no war chants echoing through fleet comms. Only silent sand, 5 humbled alien commanders floating at the edge of Earth's territory. All eyes now faced the SS Obsidian, the Earth dreadnought that arrived without warning. It didn't fire a single shot, and yet it spoke louder than any weapon inside the Celery strike cruiser. Commander Aven sat down slowly, her shoulders, once held high with pride, now drooped with understanding. Not defeat, but realization, the kind that changes a person forever. She opened her private channel to Captain Nora Lane. "This was never about showing off, was it?" Evan asked, voice low. "It was about letting us choose what we saw." Captain Lane replied almost immediately. "We hoped you would see reason," she said, her face now calm and sincere on the screen. "But pride tends to blind leaders, especially those used to winning, on board the Drail supercarrier." Rovak listened as the transmission was shared across all alien ships. Captain Lane continued, "We don't seek revenge, or trophies, or submission," she said. "We offer peace." "Even now after everything," Muker grunted from the Kree dreadnought. "Peace. After disabling our fleet, after showing us weapons that shouldn't exist?" He opened the channel and growled, "Why would you offer peace to those you just shamed?" Captain Lane looked directly at the screen. "Because we were you," she said quietly once. "We were the ones who laughed at others. We built weapons faster than we built friendships, and then we lost. A lot." Her eyes darkened for a moment. "We learned that true power is protecting those who can't protect themselves, not crushing those who can." There was a pause. Then a second signal came, not from the Havoc, nor the Obsidian, but from Earth itself. A diplomatic channel opened, and a soft voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. "This is the Earth Peace Council. We welcome dialogue. We will not pursue your fleets. But should you return with aggression, there will be no second warning." All 5 commanders stared at the message, stunned. They had expected mockery, threats, or demands. Instead, Earth gave them grace, and that hit harder than any cannon could. Commander Tholok, who had once sworn never to speak kindly of humans, now spoke with caution. "I never imagined they'd win with silence," he said to his crew. "But now, I understand." They weren't silent because they were afraid. They were silent because they didn't need to prove anything. Kaj's second-in-command, still recovering in a med pod, blinked weakly at the broadcast. If they wanted, none of us would be alive right now. And no one argued with him. Rovak, Avon, Mukor, Tholak, and what remained of Kaji's forces held a final private conference. There were no insults, no prideful claims, only truth. "This offer of peace," Rovak said, "is more than a gift, it's a test. One final chance to be something more than what we were today." Avon nodded. "We leave now, and we remember. We teach our worlds that Earth is not to be feared, but never ever provoked," just as the commanders were about to power their warp drives. Another signal flashed, this time from the USS Havoc itself, from Captain Lane directly. Her voice was quieter now. "Almost kind, you don't have to. Leave in shame," she said. "We've sent technical repair drones to assist your ships. No weapons. No tricks. Just help." Avon blinked in surprise. "You're helping the very ships that just tried to intimidate you?"
Oh.
Lane smiled gently. "We know what it's like to walk away feeling broken," she said. "But if someone had offered us help back then, maybe we would have changed sooner." The alien commanders looked at each other, unsure how to respond. In all their years of conquest, they had never been offered help after defeat. This was something new, something dangerous in its own way. Kindness from strength. The repair drones approached silently, scanning damage, patching holes, and recharging shield cores. Not a single system was hacked. No code was traced, just clean. Precise, and a quiet promise in every movement. Earth does not destroy what it can teach, and never teaches through fear-only memory. As warp drives warmed up again, the 5 alien ships began to turn. For once, they didn't leave with anger or bitterness. They left with awe, and a message to carry back across galaxies. Earth had changed, and now the galaxy would have to as well. Stars whispered stories they always had across the endless dark. But now, they whispered a new tale, one of 5 powerful fleets who returned home, not as victors, but as witnesses. Witnesses of Earth's silence, and the fire hidden beneath it, on the Drail homeworld. Rovak stood before his council. He wore no medals, gave no grand speech. He simply placed a hologram of the USS Havoc and the ESS Obsidian before the elders. "This," he said, "is what true power looks like. It's not in destruction, but in the choice not to use it." The chamber fell silent. For the first time in their long history, the Drell War Elders chose not to respond with debate. They listened. Because Rovak had seen something they had not and returned alive. On the Solari capital, young warriors crowded around holoscreens as Commander Avon spoke. She didn't hide the truth. She showed them how Earth ships outmaneuvered, outclassed, and outthought their most elite vessels. But what held the listeners silent wasn't the weapons. It was the final message Earth left behind, a warning wrapped in kindness. Evan ended her address with words no Solari expected. Earth didn't humiliate us, she said. They reminded us we are not at the top, only at the edge of something greater, in the broken remains of the Varn Hive flagship. Survivors were brought back one by one. Keji, still weak but alive, requested a message to be sent across Varn space. Humans spoke softly and carried a ship no mind could understand. Let us never again judge a species by their noise, but by what they choose to say with their silence on the Kree homeworld. Mukor stood before the general's hall, where strength had always been the only law. He dropped his hammer. To the ground, this symbol, he said, is worthless now. Because brute strength dies when facing precision and Earth. Earth has mastered the art of controlled devastation, and on Heru Prime. Tholok, the most stubborn of the five, stood before a crowd of soldiers and young officers. He said only one sentence, "I have seen what waits in Earth's shadow." Then he stepped down, and for the first time in centuries, the Heru canceled a military campaign. Voluntarily, but far from these worlds, orbiting Earth in quiet formation, the Havoc, Cyclone, Eclipse, Nova, and Obsidian returned to station. They didn't celebrate. There were no fireworks, no parades, because their victory wasn't a victory. At all, it was a warning successfully delivered. Captain Nora Lane walked the halls of the Obsidian, her face calm but thoughtful. She knew this peace wouldn't last forever. Others would come curious, bold or cruel, but they would now come knowing. Behind Earth's silence were minds sharp as blades, ships that bent physics and a species that had chosen discipline over dominance. Back on Earth, children played with model ships that looked like the Havoc. In the stories passed through news and whispers, the human fleet had not destroyed the 5 alien empires. Instead, they did. Something more terrifying, they changed them. Without conquering, without firing a second shot, at a diplomatic summit weeks later, a new document was signed. It was called the Sable Accord. It's named after the black hole of the Obsidian. It had just 3 sentences. Power is not proven in destruction. Respect begins where noise ends. Earth will remain silent, but never sleeping across the galaxy. Species began redesigning fleets not to grow stronger, but smarter. They trained AI not for war, but for restraint. They studied human tactics and found holes in their own arrogance. And everywhere young cadets asked the same question, will Earth speak again? But the Earth fleet didn't answer, because it didn't have to. It had already spoken once. Sand, the echo would last for generations. A quiet echo across stars, across minds, across the very soul of war itself. Never underestimate the species that teaches through mercy and prepares in silence.